Tom Miller, absent. Tom Ray.
Here.
Marcelo Leon.
Present.
Sam Carter.
Here.
Sandy Yao.
Here.
Monty Eckel here. We do have a quorum present, so the next order of business will be citizens' input. No one wants to address the board. What a missed opportunity. Okay, next order of business is approval of the February 19th minutes. They were in the email that was sent out to you. If you haven't had an opportunity to look at them, you want to take just a minute to look at them. If not,
I move that we approve the minutes for February 19th.
okay. We have a motion by Marcelo Lejas and a second by Tom Ray to approve the minutes from the February 19th, 2015 meeting. Any discussion or questions? Okay. If not, all those in favor raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign.
I'm gonna abstain.
Okay. Sandy and Sam will abstain. Motion carries. Next order of business, Mr. Durbin is here from Durbin and Associates, and he will present his auditor's report. Would you like to sit, you want to sit here, Mr. Durbin?
No, I can kind of talk from this corner and go over it. We did issue the audit. The audit is a clean opinion. We went over this with the finance committee, so I'm just gonna give a light synopsis. Clean opinion basically tells you what we did, what the results are, and that it is in compliance with what we call generally accepted accounting principles. That is the whole purpose of the audit, is that opinion letter. On your assets, in the total assets of the organization went up from 26.8 million to almost 29.2 million. Some of the major changes: patient accounts receivable up about 300,000. The other receivables, which is mainly related to the waiver, UPL, DISH type funds, went from 2.2 million to 3.5 million. It's just due to mainly timing differences and where it showed up. But those are most of the changes that occurred in the current asset section, about 2 million. And the capital assets are up about 800,000. That's netted the depreciation. You actually bought about $2.2 million worth of new assets for the year. Depreciation leaves you with about an 800,000 net increase. Overall, the assets have increased. Liquidity is still very high. On your liability side, your total liabilities went up from 2.8 million to $3,070,000. Some slight changes in accounts payable and a self-funded health insurance liability are the only major changes. Your long-term debt went from 10.4 down to 9.9 million. That's just because the bonds are paid off at about $1 million a year. About $600,000, $1 million is the total debt service. Your liabilities decreased slightly from 13.2 to right at about $13 million. Overall, your current ratio, which is your current assets divided by your current liabilities, is almost a 4, or is right at a 4. That's very, very strong. That's above a AA or an investment grade credit rating if you're looking at rating agencies. The net position went up. Net position is retained earnings in governmental speak, governmental accounting speak. And the next page is going to show you where your income came from. Your operating revenues, net patient service revenue went up from 20 million to 26 million. This year, your electronic health record stimulus, this is your meaningful use payments, actually went down from 1.4 million to $629,000. That's just due to the federal program. It paid more upfront, it pays less and less per year, and it finally teeters out, so to speak. Your delivery system reform incentive payments, that's some special payments, disparate payments as we call them, under the waiver. It stayed very similar at 582,000. The other operating revenues up slightly to 593. Overall, though, your revenue went up $5 million, from 22 to 27 million. A lot of that's waiver related, some of that is some special parts of it, but that is a great increase. It also is a lot of that revenue is also generated by all the new clinics and that investment you're making in physician type services. Your total operating expenses went up from 22.9 million to 27.8 million, pretty much at par. A lot of that's in salaries, employee benefits, a tremendous amount of that's in contracted services, physician type services. Your operating income though went from a small loss in 2013 to a break even in 2014. And this is the operating before property taxes and all of those type of items. So basically that's about a $315,000 improvement at the operating income level. If we step down to the increase in net position, you went up for the year from 2.5 million last year to 2.6 million this year. Just about $110,000 better on the bottom line, but you also did that by dropping property taxes a couple $100,000 too. So this is a successful year. Operating income is where it's supposed to be, and you're making the right investments, I guess, in your future with physician services. As far as the rest of the audit, we did, I mean, there's several other things we discussed in the finance committee. We do release what's called a governance letter, management letters, informative letters, and all of that's in your packet with some graphs. The governance letters and management letters are standard letters. There are no major issues. I mean, there were a few minor adjustments. Of course, in our rule, there is no such thing as a minor adjustment. We have to highlight it, but they were both less than right at $100,000. One had to do with waiver money and an accrual, and you had to have a crystal ball and to be able to know that. The other was related to some physician guarantees. But those were very, very minor type adjustments. Other than that, it's a very clean audit. I'll take any questions.
Any questions?
Can't get any better than that, no questions.
Are we doing good?
You're doing good. I mean, one of the things we did mention is your growth in census. And I pointed out in the finance committee, I mean, your census is going up 4 straight years, I believe. And that's remarkable, especially with, there's so much federal emphasis to decrease census. There's so much emphasis from the insurance companies, take everything to the outpatient. There's rules that have been placed in fact in the last couple of years to decrease hospital census. We don't see many hospitals increasing census. You are. You're doing that two major reasons. One is your investment in physicians. More physicians, you're going to have more admissions. They don't let administrators or financial officers write scripts, and so it takes those doctors to do it, and that's what's happening. And the other thing that happens is, I mean, you're in a prime location. You're in a suburban location. You have a growth in the general economy. You've got, San Antonio here. You've got the Eagle Ford Shell. You've got a lot of things growing and good business in the area, and that helps. So,
Brandon, I wonder if you could maybe show the one slide that has the operative or the comparisons between us and other Texas hospitals.
way down there. Right there? Okay, now this shows just some operating benchmarks. We got a database every year of rural hospitals and Texas hospitals. Rural is national, Texas is all Texas, acute care. It does show total margin. Your total margin was 8.4%, versus 9.7% is a growth of revenue. But it went up, but your revenue went up, so the margin percentage actually goes down. But you can compare that to rural hospitals, you're much higher. And to Texas hospitals, you're even higher. Your current ratio, this is the amount of current assets, the multiple they can pay the current liabilities. You're at 4. That's investment grade. That's much better than many other hospitals. Your days of accounts receivable down to 40. That's great. That means you have less cash tied up in receivables. Average payment period is pretty standard at 42. Days cash on hand. Many of the major systems no longer keep their cash on hand in their cost report. That's where this data comes from. But you're pretty strong. Your long term, you don't really have a lot of foundation type assets. You're reinvesting them. But you're still pretty strong on days cash on hand, and you've had a great 4-year track record. I mean, we showed some graphs that are 4 years, that just continues to increase. Your FTEs are consistent, 4.6 versus 4.3 last year. That's the current growth. You're a little higher than the average rural. You're higher in Texas, probably that's some of your integration with the clinics. I mean, you're doing a lot more with clinics than some of the other places. So, but it's very good results. So your question, are we doing good? Yeah, you're doing good.
Mr. Durbin, I noticed there was an article in the Wall Street Journal this week or last week, sent you a copy of it, Brian, about the number of rural hospitals in Texas that are closing.
I didn't read that specific one that in Texas they're closing. I can tell you their East Texas Medical Center is closing 3 that they owned. That's part of their pullback. They had actually gone to those communities and sought some tax money that it didn't happen. They weren't willing to do it. Those are some dying communities, I guess. I can tell you there's another hospital up in kind of the central, toward the Panhandle, but not in the Panhandle. There's a hospital 15 miles away and 15 miles away. 3 little communities, 3 hospitals, 30 miles between the furthest distance. 2 of them are going to probably survive, one's probably not. And you know, they're dying.
So is it a combination of volume and those margins that are the primary problem that hospitals are facing?
They're losing a lot of patients. I mean, they're losing population too. They're losing population. It's harder and harder to get physicians that want to go in. I mean, it's real hard to find 2 physicians that are going to be the only 2 physicians in this town. And every other night I'm on call. You know, that's not something that they really sign up for anymore. That's not what they teach them is what you really want as a lifestyle. So you're finding less and less physicians that'll do it. You're less and less population. I think some things that are going to help maybe push that along in the right way would be some of the telemedicine. I know y'all have the telestroke program. I've actually seen the demonstration of that one. We're actually looking at telehealth and looking in real small critical access hospitals of using it to cover the ER. It's better than having to wait for the doctor to come from home because they don't have to staff the ER. It's better than some of the local tenants they get to cover it that are just there spending the night, taking a nap. It's better to have a trauma-trained physician that can handle it, or a clinical trained, the primary care doctor can handle it by telemed. I think that may push some of these hospitals, these smaller communities, may push them more toward changing to a freestanding ED, a clinical services with some imaging, and not being a full-service hospital anymore. Maybe it's the way of the future. Don't want to say that, but I think it's going to happen in some communities.
Just for my own clarification, the last bit of information, FTE, that is full-time employee?
Full-time equivalent employee, yeah, FTE is full-time, that's an equivalence, it means, that's 2,080 hours. So if you have 2 part-time employees, that would be 1,040 hours, that would equal 1 FTE. But again, your question, I think population, I think physicians, I think community. Communities don't want to put tax money or investments in the hospital, it's hard to make it work. And that's, East Texas has 3 of those. So.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Now, do we have a motion to approve the audit report? Motion. Second. Motion by Tom Ray, seconded by Sam Carter, to approve the audit report by Durbin and Associates. Any questions or comments? Good job, Jamie.
Okay.
Your county team. Good job. Thank you. Not all those in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Next order of business is the CEO report. Brian?
Great to have you all here this evening. Have just a couple of items that we're going to cover. You can see them all there on the agenda. But obviously, the big news of the month is the recognition that we received on Monday from Becker's Hospital Review, suggesting that we were on the list of 150 great places to work in healthcare across the nation. And that's just quite an accomplishment. On that list were names like Johns Hopkins, Mayo Clinic, MD Anderson, Cleveland Clinic, Barnes Jewish in St. Louis, and you can add Conley. So it's just a thrilling thing for us. Becker's puts out this list every year of organizations, big and small, obviously, that have cultures of success, have cultures that employees are valued at, and have a good mix of fun along the way. And so we were named as one of their 150 great places to work for 2015. So really proud of the team. I mean, without the executive team and without all of our employees, without the medical staff, without the board's leadership, none of this would have happened. But it's just a very, very, very exciting time for us.
Congratulations.
Wanted to share that. We will be talking about that all of 2015. You might hear that at every single board.
Especially if you do want to employees.
Well, I think the benefit of it, number one, I frankly just think they got it right. I mean, just in all seriousness, we are a great place to work. We have great physicians who are pushing us clinically, teaching us how to be a great facility. And our just employee momentum is really good. We're in the 91st percentile of the nation in terms of our health stream employee engagement surveys. And I think that does qualify us as a great place to work. So really, really thrilled with that. While I'm excited about strategy, I think culture beats strategy every day. And I think that we're just going to continue to stay on this path, and I really appreciate Becker's for recognizing us.
How did we hit the radar screen?
There was a nomination process. I believe the Texas Hospital Association, or maybe some of the other hospitals in the area kind of recognized that something was going on here and contacted the editors. They did some research and then put us up against everyone else who was nominated. So really, really excited about that.
Are you seeing people, are other hospitals coming here to see what we're doing? Are we
As a matter of fact, yes. Ronnie, seriously, just a couple of weeks ago, we had the CEO and the executive team from the Cuero Hospital come over. They had heard some good things about what we were doing, and just wanted to take a tour, meet us, hear a little bit about our story. And frankly, as the CEO described it to us, they're kind of where we were a couple of years ago, and really wanted to learn a little bit more about that. So yes, we're getting people stop by and saying, "Hey, what's going on?" That's before you even know about this. Great, really. Sherman, you might want to comment on Skip's visit.
I would love to. And the reason I would love to is because 12 years ago, a group of us went to Cuero Hospital, and we were in awe of their facility. We were talking about building a facility, and so we went to check out theirs. And theirs was state of the art, and we were, we want that. Well, this visit, when they were here 2 weeks ago, the tables have turned, and it was so exciting because she was like, "You're better than us. Your hospital is better than us." And so it was exciting to see how excited we were to go visit them and see what they had. And now they are excited to come here and inquiring about what we have. So
Great.
it was neat. It was neat.
What's also been interesting, just to share with you, is this information's been out for about 2 days. So I mean, we're getting our press releases ready and all those types of things. But once Becker's hit the internet, many of our vendors have been contacting us with congratulations, and there's really just kind of been a whole other vibe of folks, because we made the list. So that's been kind of neat.
Create some buzz.
Create some buzz.
Your resumes coming in?
Well, no, you said that,
No longer the
but
best kept secret in
Sounds like a tagline.
Yeah, these guys are coming up with taglines all the time.
Amy just made a great comment, our resumes coming in. Well, the reality is we won't have a hard time in the future recruiting the best of the best. We already do good with our recruitment efforts for nurses and others, but this is a great place to work, and I think that's going to help us to be able to recruit the best people and retain them. So just going to keep getting better from here. That's right. Cool. Good job. Thanks. Secondly, I know that many of you had a chance to come on last Monday to the hospital for our 10th anniversary celebration. Just wanted to make sure the community recognized that March 9th was the actual 10-year anniversary of opening the doors here. We had kind of planned an outside gathering, but the rain didn't cooperate. What was fascinating about it was we still ended up with, I don't know, probably 100 people here, something along those lines, a number of folks from the community, and I thought it was a great event. I know Sam, you and Ronnie were here, and some others, and it was just good to see a number of folks here with us. Marcel, you were too. You were too. So I think we kicked off our 10th anniversary with just a little bit of recognition, and it was great to have everyone here. Probably the neatest thing that took place during the presentation was there was a little bit of time where we talked about teamwork here at the hospital, and Sue actually asked all the team members to stand to be recognized, and what was really awesome was all of our physicians who were sitting in the front row stood up and wanted to be recognized as part of the company team. So, really having the docs, feel like they're part of the team, to me makes a difference, and I think it also obviously contributes to being a great place to work. So, just reporting that information back to you from our 10th anniversary. A couple of other items on the agenda, and this is just information only, that as we come to the next couple of months when we have current board members transitioning and other folks coming on board, we always do prepare our committee structure. And so we just wanted to put into everyone's mind that we do have 5 committees that we'll be working on in the next couple of months at the board level. And if you have committees you're interested in serving with, certainly visit with Ronnie and other folks to think about that. We have the executive committee, the personnel and bylaws committee that meets really one time a year. The finance committee obviously meets every month. We have a marketing and planning committee that I think is going to continue to be very important, although it has not been very active as of late, but I think it will be very important as we try to grow our business. And there's another committee called the Joint Conference, where board members actually meet with medical staff members on a monthly basis. We probably will need to make sure that happens a little more frequently in the future. But,
Joint conference is the board chair,
vice chair,
CEO,
CEO, CNO, chief of staff, and vice chief of staff.
2 board members, right?
2 board members, 2 administrators, and 2 net staff members.
Or just, is it the vice chair or just the board member? Because Sam's on that committee. Just the board member.
Board member.
Okay.
Anyway, just kind of want to let you know that those appointments will be coming out soon.
That's just a plug for joint conference. That's an interesting committee if anybody wants to serve.
The other item is just a note to board members that we will be looking at, with the election change and such, a number of board members coming out on May, and we will be starting an orientation and reorientation session. Probably be doing that in June, actually, after some of this plays out. But we feel that education will help us do a really good job with our planning and governance efforts here at the hospital. So for new board members like Marcelo, we'll do a 3-part orientation that covers the hospital and its services, complicated world of healthcare finance, and also just some overall general trends throughout the industry. So we'll spend a lot of time getting into the details of some of those types of things. But certainly, when we do that, if we choose to, for our other board members to come and take kind of a reorientation course, a refresher course, that might help all of us to make sure that we're getting that same information about hospital operations and industry trends and those types of things. But we'll be planning those orientation times in June.
There'll be a 2-day session on acronyms.
Yeah, I'm gonna say, at least that long.
With the quid.
Yeah, with the quote.
The last bullet point on that, though, is that to me, this is a building block for our strategic planning effort. We've been talking for quite some time about our 4 key areas of focus: providers and services, operational excellence, community engagement, and industry trends and healthcare reform. But as we start to experience the growth that we've had over the last little bit of time, it's time to start planning what's going to happen in the next 5 years, 10 years, 25 years, 40 years. And so we're beginning to put together a process and a plan to do some real hardcore strategic planning as a group. In fact, one of the things that I'm considering is just a very simple addition that I'd like to make to our strategic framework that includes facilities and technologies. We know that our growth is important, so we want to make sure that we have facilities to accommodate that growth. But we also know that technologies in our industry, mobile phones alone, iWatches alone, are going to impact us. So it seems to me to add that 5th item, or consider the addition of that 5th item, may be valuable as we look at our framework. But wanted to try to lay out a couple of concepts here related to planning. Certainly, Ronnie and Larry have offered to participate in this as the board chair and the finance committee chair. And then just wanted to extend an open invitation to other board members, to participate in this process. Obviously, Jamie and I will be working with that, Carl, and then a number of our physicians, Dr. Brand, Dr. Kofina, and Dr. Krause will be joining us during that process. We'll probably, yep.
The open invite to the board members, all the board members are certainly welcome and encouraged to participate in that. This is going to be a exciting process. It's going to be, there's a lot of thought that's going to have to go into this, but when you start talking about 30, 40 years down the road, we need as much input as we can possibly get. And with the other participants, with the doctors and Carl and Jamie and Brian, this is going to be a very interesting process. So I would encourage anyone who is interested, and we'll do it in the evenings. We had kind of a planning meeting that we did in the morning, but to accommodate everybody's schedules, we will probably do something in the evenings, correct?
Correct.
Something like these, our meetings, our regular time for the meetings to work on this. But anyway, please be encouraged to participate.
Absolutely. Just generically, we'll go through a series of meetings. The first meeting, kind of setting the stage. Where are we? What do we need to accomplish? Tentatively, we have to finalize all this the week of April 1st through the 10th. We'll explore some of the options available to us during the first week of May, tentatively, and ultimately we'll try to scope in all the various ideas that are out there during the first week of June. Theoretically, we'd like to try to bring some recommendations to the June 18th board meeting. That was our initial thought on the timeline. I believe we can stick to it and hit it, but that may adjust as things get organized here a little bit more thoroughly. So just wanted to kind of put that in everyone's mind as an activity that'll be underway here in just a little bit of time. The last thing that I wanted to share real quick is just we continue to have progress and progression within our clinic system. If you look at this slide that you've seen many times over, we have great docs, Dr. Peterson, Dr. Knight in cardiology, Dr. Eckmark and Christina Farley are getting great reviews. Dr. Faulkner, ENT, GI, Dr. Hassan, and Dr. Profeta. wanted to just kind of throw a couple more pictures up here because this is going to continue to evolve very, very quickly. Dr. Hambrick has joined us from a general surgery standpoint, and he's been practicing here. He's the second half of Dr. Preston Moorhead, who will join us in August. But already this month, Dr. Hambrick has done 8 procedures in our operating room. So really glad to have him on board taking call, as well as being here one day a week in the clinic. Dr. Rimsing, a GYN physician, will be joining us starting in April. April 15th, she'll be starting her practice here, and same type of situation. We hope to not only she'll be able to provide clinic services, but also to provide work in our operating room. And then of course Dr. Preston Moorhead and Dr. Charlie Ann Moorhead, pediatrician and general surgeon, are still on track to be here in August. As a matter of fact, they're doing a site visit here March 27th, 28th, and 29th to do some house shopping. So the progress is continuing to advance there, and all systems are go on that front as well. So just wanted to kind of illustrate with this slide the evolution of even where we are today, from where we have been, to even the additional faces that are going to be on our team in the not too distant future. Last topic I just wanted to hit real quickly is some other miscellaneous updates, and one of those is Consolata. 2 things have occurred at the Consolata Healthcare Foundation. Number one, they brought on a number of new members. Bianca Flores, who's involved with the AT&T cellular store here. She was accepted to the board last night and has a lot of energy. Will Eckel has also joined the team, as has been Pruski, all at last night's board meeting. So the Consolata Healthcare Foundation continues to grow. The board continues to have new members, and I know it's a very exciting time for them. Larry, I know you were there last night, so maybe you might
I
comment.
had a lot of excitement, a lot of good ideas. So the new board members brought a lot of new ideas, so I think that was really good. New energy.
You bet. Their next fundraiser, just for informational purposes to the board, is April 11th, golf tournament. And that's a 8:30 shotgun start here at Riverbend. And everything's ready and prepared for the event. They're just continuing to look for teams and hole sponsorships. So if you know a Consolata Healthcare Foundation board member who would appreciate a lead, or someone who you think would want to sponsor a hole, please contact them or contact me, and we'll try to get some of those sponsorships taken care of. The Consolata Foundation is working very, very hard on our behalf, and we're very proud of them.
Great. Anything else?
No, sir.
Any questions for Brian before we move on?
His report, he's through with his report.
Yes.
Well, just real quick, when do you think that North Campus finish out will be for Dr. Moorhead? When are they going to start working on that?
We have the board approval to do it. The architect, Mike Hale, we've just come through the last revision really, which is scheme E. We've just kind of gone back and forth on that, and I anticipate that work will be starting here pretty soon. We're shooting for that August completion date, so that she's up and running when she gets here.
So who all's been involved with that? Dr. Peterson, Dr. Moorhead?
Dr. Moorhead has seen the plans. Dr. Peterson has given some of her comments to it. Actually, Dr. Eckmark looked at the plans as well, and was favorable to it, and just getting started.
Are we maxing out on primary care already? These primary care doctors pretty busy?
Certainly, Dr. Eckmark is very busy. He is very busy. He is very near capacity. Dr. Peterson is reaching the capacity that she is able to handle, and Christina Farley is getting off to to a good start. She's grown very quickly over the course of the last couple of months.
We need to be looking along those lines.
I think we need to always be looking along those lines.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Thank you, Brian. Next order of business is the CNO report. Sue, you're up.
You? Good evening, board. I would just like to say one comment about being the 150 best places to work in healthcare. Brian says he looks to his team and to the employees to get that honor bestowed upon us. But you know what, and I'm sure you all know this, it sits right here with this gentleman right here. Because he started the culture when he arrived. And so we owe this award to you, Brian. We really do. He started the culture. Everybody does that. Yes. Thank you for doing that.
I appreciate the words. but
It's the truth, it's the truth. Just say, okay. Okay.
Can I follow up on that just a minute?
Certainly.
I received a phone call this morning from a business person here in Floresville who he and his wife had been through the emergency room recently. And they echoed the same thing, and talking about culture here, he said everyone they encountered was, how can we help you? How can we help you? What can we do for you? And that is a culture, because no one was there prompting them to do that. And he was just very impressed with how the whole team here was being proactive and trying to help in any way they could. So y'all are all doing a wonderful, wonderful
The
job.
staff is, they have bought into it. They want to be the people that the community deserves.
Well,
They want to deliver that care.
Our team wants to be the best hospital in the state of Texas, and that's just the bottom line. And so we've set that goal out there, and people, everyone on the team, whether it's an executive team, whether it's Endeavor, whether it's folks, the housekeepers, whether it's the nurses, everyone wants to see us achieve that goal, and it's just great that we are all pulling in that same direction. Our medical staff stands up when we talk about our Conley team. And so from my standpoint, we have a clear vision, how do we become the best? And we've got people at every level of the organization trying to make that happen.
And Brian, 2 procedures this week in the OR, and we know that we've always had hiccups in the OR, but one was ortho, one was ear, nose, throat, and both patients called and said how pleased they were with the experience. I think our staff got an education from the 10-year-old post anesthesia, so I mean they all enjoyed the patients as well. The interaction was great. And Dr. Majors has gotten rave reviews on her care. So we had that hiccup. And we're going, the OR is smooth for her.
That's great. I'm sure that-
Probably talking about that hiccup in the past, right?
Yes.
No, I guess,
Big hiccup.
I apologize. You guys started this. I mean, so I really want to make that clear. I mean, the board had a vision of what this hospital could become and what it needed to become. And so we're having a lot of fun, picking up some awards, and everyone, very, very excited about where we are. But it is this board, as much as Endeavor, as much as me, as much as the executive team, as much as the docs, every level of this organization is pulling together. And, you guys need the credit too, because really, you knew what could happen here. And, I just really want, we have some board members who are ending their time with us and such, and it's just important to know that you all contributed to all of this tremendously. It is fun.
Okay.
I'd like to just share with you a couple of items. I'll be brief. Our new cardiac telemetry system is installed, the training has ended, and the staff is thoroughly enjoying getting to use this and have our patients take advantage of all the features that are upgrades from our last system. So thank you for approving those monies. Next month, I hope to bring, we started a new, we revived the employee appreciation program here at Common. And so we have started awarding employees of the month, basically. And so we'd like to start bringing those employees that have earned that title and just present them to the board and just let you see who they are and read their nomination letters and kind of just brag on them a little bit. And they can feel special like they are. And so I'd like to start that next month if we could. It's nice. Yeah, it's exciting. And the nominations, at first they were coming in very slowly, but now they're really picking up. So the employees are anxious to nominate their peers and coworkers.
Are you gonna bring that employee in every month?
It's every month, it's a new one.
Okay.
So it'll be 3.
That would be monthly.
It will.
Okay.
But that's okay.
Should have thought about that first before I asked. Can we schedule it to where they come in before the meeting and we have just a little reception?
That's right.
So we don't sit here like, well, that's nice, thank you.
Mhm.
Where we can just move around and thank them in an
That would
informal
be
way.
great.
We don't have to have anything, we don't have to have an elaborate food layout or anything like that, but just something informal before the meeting starts. And then the first thing we'll do on the agenda is to recognize them.
Yeah.
After we call the roll, we will recognize
That
them.
way they don't have to stay the whole meeting, they can leave.
Right.
Different meetings.
Right.
Perfect.
And we can personally thank them and,
Good, all right. And the last thing I had to share is our stroke designation survey is set for a week from Friday, the 27th. So we're very excited about that. Martha Buford has taken this program from nothing, from ground zero, and has built it up to where it is today. We actually had 2 RNs from Baptist come down yesterday and do a mock survey. They actually survey other facilities as well. So they came down and gave us a mock survey and said we shouldn't have any issues at all. They were very impressed what Martha has done, and so we'll be proud to, when we get that designation, to share that with our community as well.
Great.
So, and that's all I have this evening.
At the last meeting, we talked about a discharge nurse at the emergency
Yes.
room.
That has started.
That has
We have
started.
started that program.
Great.
We certainly have. So, took a little bit to, with everything, every new process, it takes a little bit to get off the ground, but very quickly it's come around. And the discharge nurses are falling into that role. They're understanding their role more and more every shift. So it's definitely a benefit and a good move. And so-
Seeing results.
Seeing results. Getting calls.
Getting calls. I mean,
Getting calls.
The purpose of that was to make sure that every patient, as they leave the emergency room, had a good experience and had their needs met. And so the discharge nurse is trained to sort those things out, figure out what's going on, share with Sue and myself if there's anything that needs addressed, and it's working very, very well.
Is the discharge nurse and the triage nurse one and the same?
She is. He is. They are.
They are.
They are.
Just
Yes.
added responsibility. Okay.
Yeah, but they'll see him once on the way in, and they'll see him on the way out.
Okay.
What, Bob?
Tell them to fill out a survey if they don't mind, if they get one.
That's true. That's true. All right. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you, Sue.
Sue.
Next order of business is the Endeavor report. Carl?
Just a couple things before I list the agenda item. I too would like to congratulate Brian and his team on the Becker's hospital review. This is big time. I mean, this is a national, very respected entity, the Becker's organization, and for us to be, for this facility that we mentioned is huge. And Brian, I advise you, take the credit. You're gonna get the blame if it ever turns out. Enjoy the moment, but culture starts at the top, certainly from the board, but charged with executing that, and it does start at the top, so congratulations to you.
Carl,
And also- yes, sir.
any of your other hospitals ever got that?
No, sir.
All right. Just
I was
have to-
thinking the same thing.
Big, I said. It's big. I'd also like to congratulate Jamie and his team. Another clean audit. Healthcare accounting, healthcare finance there's some art in that, and art is interpreted in different ways, but to have an audit firm, Durbin does almost half, if not more than half of the rural hospitals in the state of Texas. And for him and his team to have a clean audit, that's not a easy accomplishment, and should be recognized as well. So good job, Jamie. One of the reasons Endeavor is here is to provide value-added services, and so in my hand I have a pamphlet for you of terms and abbreviations and acronyms for healthcare.
No, my goodness.
Sandy, I don't know if you're going to need that long term, but
It's about time.
and FTE is on page 17. I looked it up. I'm one short, so I'm sorry.
There it is.
Here.
Thank you. Short time sheet. So keep that in your packet, or we can leave corners in here if you want. Seriously, every industry has it, but healthcare is the worst for acronyms. If you listen to Mr. Durbin, even there was a few times I was lost. Just because he is so involved at the state level. But anyway, so.
You sound
use
like
that.
it's talking, reciting ABCs most of the time.
Yeah.
But and or love and
What I'm supposed to be reporting on is the bond refinancing is complete. Just as a reminder, the net present value of the savings from the refinancing is $1.6 million. It works out to be about $146,000 a year. It'll start in our next payment in 2016. So again, kudos to Jamie and his team for providing what was needed to Tony and the group that coordinated everything. So it's all done, and good job with that, and we'll realize those savings starting next year. So that's all I had, unless there's questions or comments.
Don't hold me to this, Amy, but we just did some quick calculations in our head during finance, but it is about a 4.5% reduction in taxes as a result of the bond refinancing.
A portion of our taxes is allocated for interest and sinking funds.
So it's a big deal. And we get that every year for how many years?
Until 2028.
13 years.
Well, it starts next year, so.
But-
It's really 13 years ago. That sounded like so far away.
I know.
I know, and it's only around the corner.
That's right. Thank you, Carl. Thank you all.
Talk about dates like that.
1983.
Does anyone have any questions on the bond refinance? Thank you, Carl. Next order of business is to review, consider, and take action regarding any of the following issues from the Finance Committee meeting. Right? George?
Just generically, we did report to the Finance Committee a brief financial summary. Long story short, February was a little bit softer than the previous month. Our revenues did not quite make it to our budget. But the bottom line for February was $197,000 gain for the month. We did suffer an operating loss of about $19,000 during that period. Again, from a year-to-date standpoint, we're still performing very well on the operating side, and certainly from a budget standpoint, we're at $570,000 operating gain for the year, and a bottom line of $1.5 million for the year so far. Probably the most interesting thing is that if you look at our net assets, which continue to grow month after month, October 1st, 2014, which is the beginning of this fiscal year, we had $16,394,000 in net assets. But as of February 28th, our net assets are $17,898,000. So obviously, $1.5 million of growth there in our net assets so far this year. We're excited about March because we anticipate breaking the $18 million boundary, so to speak, on our net assets. So that's kind of an interesting thing to know. Jamie, what are your comments about February?
Not anything much beyond that. This February February's 28-day month, so it's a little less anyway, but business activity was just quite a bit slower than it had been in the previous 2 months, so we ended up a little bit soft.
Why do you think that's the case?
I don't really have, I couldn't identify anything. Our surgical volumes were down, patient volumes were down, the ER was a little softer. In March, it's picked back up. It's not quite as strong as it was in January, December, but it's a lot stronger in February. So we couldn't, as it went along, we couldn't really identify what was causing it.
It was, I think what he's saying is it was a very subtle change. Those things happen month to month with us. And just as we're looking right now, halfway through March, we've recovered pretty solidly.
Is it a trend, like you see that happen in previous years for February, with business cycles, or it's just, it's February?
We have business cycles, but February is not traditionally one of the, traditionally February is a good month, even though it's a shorter month, but this year it was soft. I mean, our cycle here in November is a bad month. Hasn't been, I've looked back for years, it's been a bad month. February is usually a good month, this year wasn't good.
Thank you.
Anything else? What is the recommendation of the finance committee, Mr. Chairman?
The Finance Committee recommends that we accept the February summary of financial analysis, and I so move.
Okay, we have a motion by Larry Richardson and a second by Sam Carter to approve the February summary and financial analysis as presented. Any questions? Comments? Just to just as we discussed in finance, when we went through the audit and we went through the finances in great depth, our revenue sources are so complicated. And I would like for you to kind of follow up on this with me a bit, if you don't mind. Our revenue sources are so complicated and are so illogical because they are a result of political whim in both Washington and Austin.